In the heart of an ancient forest, shrouded in the kind of darkness that seemed almost tangible, lay a graveyard forgotten by time. Its gravestones, weathered and worn, told tales of lives long past, and its iron gates, twisted and rusted, creaked on the rare occasions they moved. This place, known to the few who dared remember it, was said to be a nexus of unseen forces, a crossroad for the whispers of the damned. Amidst these silent tombs, a child named Corvin grew under the watchful eyes of shadows that danced along the periphery of reality. These were not the benevolent spirits of folklore, but entities that whispered of ancient pacts and the dark price of forgotten magics. Corvin, found as an infant at the gates of this necropolis, had never known the warmth of sunlight, his days and nights lit only by the ghostly luminescence that seeped from the ground. The caretaker of this realm was a being known only as Eldritch, a figure cloaked in the mysteries of death itself. It was Eldritch who taught Corvin to listen to the whispers, to understand the language of those who had passed beyond. But with each word understood, a piece of Corvin's soul seemed to darken, as if knowledge came with its own shadows. One evening, as the moon carved its way through the fabric of the night, Corvin stumbled upon a crypt sealed with symbols that pulsed with a foreboding energy. It was unlike any he had seen before, marked with sigils that seemed to writhe under his gaze. The air around it was colder, heavy with a presence that beckoned yet warned away. It was here that Corvin heard a whisper not like the others, one that spoke not of the past, but of a destiny yet unwoven. As Corvin delved deeper into the mysteries of the graveyard, he began to uncover secrets not meant for the living. The graveyard was a labyrinth of power, a library of the arcane bound in stone and bone. Eldritch watched with a gaze that held centuries of secrets, knowing the path Corvin walked was one of peril and revelation. The balance of life and death, so carefully maintained, was beginning to shift. As days melded into nights, indistinguishable under the canopy of the ancient forest, Corvin's connection to the whispers grew stronger. The graveyard, a silent guardian of secrets, began to reveal its true nature. Each gravestone, each crypt, held stories not just of death, but of power, knowledge that had been buried in the dark soil. Corvin, guided by Eldritch's cryptic teachings, learned to harness these whispers, drawing upon their strength in ways that both awed and terrified him. The crypt that had first called to him, with its pulsing symbols and icy air, became the center of his studies. Inside, he found artifacts of unknown origins, objects imbued with energies that resonated with the very essence of the graveyard. It was here that Corvin discovered a tome, its pages filled with ancient scripts that seemed to shift and change as he attempted to decipher them. This book, Eldritch explained, was a key to understanding the true power of the graveyard, a guide to mastering the energies that flowed beneath their feet. But with power came danger. The graveyard was not without its guardians, spirits bound to protect the sacred ground. As Corvin delved deeper, he encountered these protectors, their forms ethereal yet menacing. Each encounter tested his resolve and his understanding of the dark arts he was beginning to master. Eldritch watched from the shadows, his silence a stern reminder of the balance that must be maintained, the respect that the dead demanded. One night, under a blood-red moon, a revelation shook the very foundation of Corvin's world. The spirit spoke of an impending threat, a darkness that sought to consume the graveyard's power for its own malevolent purposes. This force, ancient and powerful, had been awakened by Corvin's meddling with the crypt's secrets. The balance between life and death, light and darkness, was now at risk, and Corvin found himself at the heart of this cosmic struggle. With the threat looming, Corvin and Eldritch began to prepare. The graveyard, once a place of quiet whispers and secrets, transformed into a battleground. Corvin's once fear-filled nights turned into nights of purpose, his abilities honed for the conflict to come. The tome's secrets became more crucial than ever, its knowledge a beacon in the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. As the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead blurred, Corvin stood ready, a defender of the damned. With the knowledge of the impending darkness spreading through the graveyard, Corvin's nights became a blend of research and ritual. The ancient tome, once an enigma wrapped in mystery, now lay open, its secrets slowly unraveling before him. Within its pages, Corvin found spells and incantations, each more potent and dangerous than the last. These were the tools he would need to confront the darkness, to protect the realm of the dead from being consumed by it. As the blood-red moon waned, Giving way to the darkness that seemed to stretch with eager anticipation, Corvin and Eldritch fortified the graveyard's defenses. Eldritch, whose knowledge of the dark arts was unparalleled, guided Corvin through the creation of wards and barriers, spells woven into the very earth that pulsed with an unseen force. The air around the graveyard began to hum with power, a symphony of the arcane that served as both shield and beacon. It was during one of these nights that Corvin encountered the spirit of a warrior long past, a guardian of the graveyard who had faced a similar threat centuries ago. The warrior's spirit, bound to the place of his burial, offered guidance and wisdom. He spoke of the last time the darkness had risen, of the sacrifices made and the power required to quell it. His words, though heavy with the weight of history, bolstered Corvin's resolve. Armed with ancient knowledge and the blessings of the graveyard's guardians, Corvin set out to confront the source of the darkness. The crypt, once a place of study, now felt like the mouth of the abyss, the point from which all the malevolent energy seeped. As Corvin descended into its depths, the air grew colder, the whispers louder. Here, the boundary between worlds was thin, and the darkness palpable. The confrontation was inevitable. As Corvin reached the heart of the crypt, the darkness coalesced into a form both terrifying and familiar. It was a shadow of the past, a remnant of a forgotten god whose thirst for power had led to its downfall. The battle that ensued was a maelstrom of arcane energy, a clash of light and shadow. Corvin, fueled by the might of the graveyard and the spirits that dwelled within, fought with a power he had never known, a power born of the whispers of the damned. The clash between Corvin and the shadowy remnant of the forgotten god reached a crescendo, their powers colliding in a storm of arcane energy. The crypt, once a place of quiet study and somber reflection, now echoed with the roars of battle. The ancient stone walls, inscribed with the wisdom of ages, vibrated with the force of their confrontation, threatening to collapse under the strain. As the battle raged, Corvin found himself pushed to the brink. The forgotten god, despite its diminished state, wielded power that had once commanded the fear and reverence of entire civilizations. Corvin, fueled by the combined strength and knowledge of the graveyard spirits, fought not just with magic, but with the determination to protect the realm that had become his home and sanctuary. In the heat of the battle, a vision came to Corvin, a flash of insight from the ancient tome that had eluded him until now. It revealed the forgotten god's true vulnerability, a secret buried deep within the history of the graveyard itself. With newfound resolve, Corvin channeled the energy of the graveyard, the whispers of the damned coalescing into a singular, potent force. The final moments of the confrontation were blinding. Light and darkness, the essences of creation and oblivion, intertwined in a dance as old as time itself. Corvin, standing at the heart of the storm, unleashed the full might of the graveyard's power. The shadowy form of the forgotten god, overwhelmed by the purity and intensity of this force, began to dissolve, its cries fading into silence. As calm returned to the crypt, Corvin collapsed, exhausted but triumphant. The threat had been vanquished, the balance between the worlds of the living and the dead restored. The spirits of the graveyard, their presence stronger and more serene, whispered their thanks and faded into the night. Corvin, supported by Eldritch, emerged from the crypt, greeted by the first light of dawn, a symbol of renewal and hope. The graveyard, once a place of whispers and shadows, now stood as a testament to the power of unity and courage. In the aftermath of the battle, the graveyard settled into a profound silence, a peaceful contrast to the chaos that had reigned. Corvin, weary yet resolute, walked among the gravestones, feeling a deep connection to the spirits that had stood by him. The graveyard was no longer just a place of death. It was a sanctuary of life, memories, and battles fought between the veils of worlds. Eldritch, ever the enigmatic guardian, approached Corvin with a nod of respect. "You have done what many believed impossible," he said, his voice echoing with the weight of ages. "The balance has been restored, but remember, it is a constant vigil. Darkness and light are eternal companions in the dance of existence." Corvin understood, knowing his journey was not at an end, but had entered a new phase of guardianship and learning. In the days that followed, Corvin dedicated himself to studying the ancient tome further, uncovering spells and knowledge that would help him maintain the balance. He became a beacon for those who wandered too close to the shadows, guiding lost souls to peace and protecting the living from the unseen dangers that lurked in the dark. The graveyard, once a place feared and avoided, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Travelers from distant lands came seeking the wisdom of the guardian who had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. Corvin shared his knowledge freely, but always with caution, reminding all who listened of the delicate balance that governed all things. As years passed, Corvin's legend grew, but he remained humble, always mindful of the lessons learned from the spirits of the graveyard. He knew that his time as guardian was but a chapter in the ongoing story of the world, a testament to the power of courage and unity. And when the time came for him to join the whispers of the damned, he did so with peace, leaving behind a legacy that would inspire generations to come.